That's how I play and find myself in places like the Stephen Colbert Show. I mean, I find everything equally challenging. And I find like there's something new to practice with each gig. Or if I don't find this new to practice thing with the gig, I'm not really fulfilled. So it's like really
Yeah.
Yes.
it's like a
Exactly.
perspective and outlook thing. It's like all about your attitude. Like you have to find the new thing. This is back to my rebirth energy thing. You have to constantly look for a new facet, or you're going to just become jaded. You have to stay consistent in staying fresh.
Welcome everybody to the
Faking Notes
podcast. We're back in the house. Julia Danitz.
She is a wonderful violinist. We originally met in Brunswick, Maine at the Bowdoin Summer Music Festival back in 2010. I've known her for 11 years. It's actually the same year I met Daniel. We met at the same festival. And since then, we went to Juilliard together. And I was immediately struck by her amazing diversity in her skill sets, her knowledge, and her interest. And I think there's so much to learn and gain from listening to this episode.
She really is the Julia of all trades. It's crazy how many different types of music she's played. And even beyond that, just as a person, she's interested in learning. She has this phrase about consistently growing, like consistently trying something new every week. She did the Juilliard Columbia Exchange Program. So we got political science and added on a minor in business. Music and political science was not enough. So she's just constantly growing and learning and evolving and has this immense global perspective. She goes to Tanglewood and plays in the Silk Road Ensemble Project and gets to learn about all other sorts of music. And so she goes out, she's continuously collaborating. You've seen her everywhere, including The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, playing along with John Batiste. Wow, what an incredible musician, an incredible conversation.
And so what I really think is like super important to take away from this episode is just listening to her, the way she thinks and understanding her mental models when it comes to approaching your art and staying consistent. And there, I just find this to be such a fun conversation.
So if you can, subscribe and review. We read the reviews on this podcast. We read the reviews every day when we wake up. You know, we just scroll down the list.
And then I cry myself to sleep reading the reviews as well. It's beautiful.
So we start the day with 5 stars, end the day with 1 star, and cry ourselves to sleep. But
and also, if you want to make memes with us, joke around with us, come to our Discord channel, Faking Notes Podcast. If you want to support us with your money, help us continually build this podcast and hopefully build our team. Because we have so many ambitious ideas, but there's only so many hours in a day, only so many dollars in the day. Support us on Patreon if you want to see us continue to grow this and add more content. And we now have a YouTube channel that is live. We're posting full episodes, video episodes, clips, everything. So if you miss, if there's like an episode, you just don't have enough time to listen to the full episode on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, go to the YouTube. We have clips of our favorite highlights. It's an even more distilled version of this show, and you can grab the gems on the go.
But without further ado, all of trades, Julia Danitz.
Julia Danitz, thank you so much for being here.
It's my pleasure, and I'm thrilled to be here.
How you feeling? You feeling okay? It's been a minute since we've had a chance to interface.
Yeah, I'm doing well. I'm on a rebirth energy kick. I'm trying to like reprioritize things and do stuff that makes me exist as a wholesome musician.
You've come to the right place. Tell
Okay.
us. We're trying to rebirth here. We're all about rebirth.
Well,
And
it's because of the pandemic, really. Like I feel like the pandemic let me know what was being exacerbated in my life, where my time was going, where my energy was going, and now I feel like it's 2021 going on 2022. It's time to like reprioritize.
Can you walk us through that a little bit?
Sure.
I'm curious to hear like specifically what are some things you're wasting some of your time on that you're like, wait a minute, let's roll it back.
Well, I am a huge educator in this city. When I first graduated from Juilliard, I was like, how am I going to make the bread and butter of my life work? I mean, we have to take on teaching.
Mm-hmm.
And I do love being a teacher and it gives me great structure. But I mean, after the pandemic, we had so much like Zoom after Zoom after Zoom. I would scramble to find time to juggle performing again
Mm-hmm.
once the pandemic was sort of subsiding. And plus teaching, I just had to cut back. And that's like a risk, but happy to take it. I mean, I'm also a DMA student at CUNY at Graduate
That's
Center.
right. Oh
And then I'm
man.
also like I'm trying to start my own. I started my own group called Sonora Collective with Katie Althen, and we have some projects coming up. Actually, where I'm going to go later is to an art gallery. I spend a lot of time in art galleries because I want to unite like music and art to have like a greater realm of art and like a bigger effort of collaboration between the disciplines.
that's awesome. We want to dig into, because we're going to definitely want to hit on like the collective and like what goes into
Yeah,
the
sure.
process of doing an ensemble, but let's keep focusing in on this rebirth, because almost everyone we've talked to, of course, it's a shame that it had to come from such an awful, devastating pandemic, but we're making something of it, and it seems like this clarification and this refocusing, and after years of teaching and I guess a year and a half of education, it's a lot of energy. I don't know if everyone like fully understands just like how much time and effort goes into that mentally. It's exhausting. How do you decide in this cutback, even within that education sphere? Is it a balance of like, wow, I really love this student, or wow, it's just money and time, or this program, not that program? Like, how did you pare it back? What was the calculation?
It's a combination of both. It's like, does this program align with my values? Is it keeping me fresh? Like, I'm really into like every week I want to do something that keeps me fresh. Student wise, is this student also putting in the effort that allows me to like facilitate them to going to the next level? I don't know what their perspective is. Some of them are growing into high schoolers. They're beginning to like think about college and their future. And I teach like New York City kids that are really mature
Mm-hmm.
and they understand how the world works. And that's sometimes very fortunate because they understand like what a level of preparedness means, but it's also like a little bit of jadedness that comes with it. But I love fostering these kids. I live in Chinatown. When I first graduated from Juilliard, I joined Harmony Program. It's a nonprofit that provides outreach for underserved areas, outreach and free music lessons. And so
Mm-hmm.
I inherited a class of 19 students, group class.
Woo!
Yeah, because the teacher had just quit. And I mean, I had to really hone in on my managerial skills and turn that class into something, whip them into shape. So I have some private students from there that I adore, and they've been with me since 2017, around then.
Wow.
Yeah, but
It's a long
and then
time.
I became like a faculty mentor in that, because my students were starting to like max out of the program. Um, like it became like, how do we get every class, like Julia's class, that she put these standards on these students to like memorize pieces, and they're playing in this group called All Stars that the program created, which is a collaboration with the New York Phil. How do we
Wow.
get more All Stars in our program? So then I transitioned into being a faculty mentor, which meant that I would have to travel to an assortment of places in New York City, which I liked doing because, again, that like helped me stay alert and fresh, and was like piqued my curiosity because I always wondered, oh, what is this area like? And what are the
Mm-hmm.
kids in this area like? And you can really see the disparity in just New York City.
That's so true. It's kind of wild, like just depending on where you get off the train, like how different some of these programs are,
Yeah.
like just in such a short distance. Very relatable stories. Some of the programs I'd work with. Also, like the New York Phil, like the Young Composers programs,
Mm,
and in the public schools, and just depending on where you go, the stark contrast.
yeah.
Yeah, the Manhattan side of the L to the end of the Brooklyn side of the L. I'm like, this is inequality in a nutshell.
Yeah. I mean, I was a political science major when I was an undergrad. I did the Columbia Juilliard joint degree,
Yeah.
and it's like the study of power and inequality has always fascinated me. So I guess no wonder why I gravitated towards something like Harmony Program, which seeks to give opportunities to those that would not have them, regardless of the uh, income status they're at.
That's so interesting. Like that, honestly, that little tag you added about, your Juilliard Columbia exchange and being a poli sci major, because of your interest in this idea of power and inequality. Like, I'm really curious about hearing some more. Like, what did you really learn? Like, while you
Oh,
were
yeah,
there?
sure.
Yeah. What are some things you learned?
I love when musicians ask me this question, um, because everyone's like, so you went to the other side, you were with normal people.
Ah.
So what is this?
Yeah.
Um, to sum it up in a nutshell, it's really like you've got to have the resources. If you want power, you've got to have the resources. I mean, there's all this like stuff about pork barreling and super PACs and all this stuff, but like at the end of the day, the person that wins is the one that is coming to the table with the most. Um, you could liken this to in war. You can liken this to
Mm-hmm.
like um, how certain legislation gets passed. Definitely, and you can liken this to like environmental stuff. My focus, yeah, my focus was actually a little bit of the environment and international relations and diplomacy. But I quickly learned that because you just need to be the one with the resources to get anything done. I added on a business minor, actually.
Really?
Yeah, most people don't know this about me.
I don't know.
Yeah. So the business minor I think was interesting because then there were classes like accounting and business strategy that I thought were cool. Um, a lot of psychology, social psychology classes. I think I don't know sometimes how to say if my education really paid off, but it gives me some sort of veil into the world where
Mm-hmm.
where I can rationalize why certain things happen a certain way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
And
then
then you.
I guess as a performer, as someone who's trying to like, make make your big break, you can kind of find solace in the concepts that you've learned.
Is there something particular? It sounds like you described it, because with business and politics and diplomacy and resources, those all sound very useful to a musician. It's all these things
Well,
we need to know about, right? Are there some major takeaways that come through, or is it all from a kind of conceptual, zoomed out version?
I would say the zoomed out version helps on the micro level. I mean, politics is a substitution of one thing for another. And you have to remember that in like today's culture, that's constantly happening. Like one day something is in, and one day something is out.
Mhm.
It's just sometimes the way the pendulum swings.
Mhm. And when it comes to like resources, can you maybe like, kind of illustrate the musical equivalent of like people who have acquired resources? Because like the first thing that came into my mind when you were saying that is like Settlers of Catan. I need to get me some stone.
Got to get
My
the sheep.
personal strat. I'm the sheep.
Oh,
I'm the
I'm
sheep
yeah,
sheep.
yeah.
cartel. I'm the
Open for
sheep
sheep.
cartel. Yeah, yeah,
Trade
yeah.
for
As
stone later.
a freelancer with like such a varied life, I remember it was kind of like survival mode when I first got out of school. And I feel
I
like
feel that.
I'm in survival mode, or maybe I'm in like a different survivor mode 2.0 because of my rebirth energy. But
Mm-hmm.
it's like, how do I just simply get the students, get the resources? How do I get the gigs, the wedding gigs? Like, let's just start there.
Mm-hmm.
Or playing on the subway. There's no shame in that.
Do you
Like,
do that?
I did that when I was fresh out of school. I played with diverse concert artists.
Oh,
Yeah,
I didn't know that. Okay.
it was like Midtown East. I did that. I did like some busking in Central Park. You know, you're young. You're like willing to
Yeah.
do anything.
Yeah.
And I think this
Yeah.
willing to do anything is important too, because people will call you and they'll help you with the resources. And then at some point, you want to take your resources and invest in something else. Whether it's you and having more me time and like self care, which is so important, or maybe just another passion project.
Which leads me to that's perfect segue. See, you're a natural, Julia.
Am
Sonora
I?
Collective. Oh yeah, girl, come on, you crushing this. So
Oh,
the Sonora Collective is this like kind
yeah,
of part of this rebirth energy where you're like, I'm going to invest my time into
yeah,
building something. So can you
yeah.
talk about the formation and like the story of how you and Katie Althan put together this collection of musicians and composers to try to solve a problem?
Okay, well, the problem, this brings us to the dark period of when you graduate from conservatory and you just wonder, what am I going to do? Like, I don't have a schedule. Like, I want to keep, I personally think Sonora Collective provides an avenue for like talented musicians and composers to keep performing, and it's for people who also want to keep working from a place of performance. Who it's for people that want to keep practicing. Like when I graduated from school and was like gigging and doing sessions and doing XYZ ensemble or orchestra, opera company, whatever you want. I just kept wondering if people really practice at that high level,
Oh my God.
that
Yeah.
that hyper focused borderline obsessive level to get something done. I just I was always wondering, like, and then I also had a fear in me, like, I don't want to get to that point in my life where I have nothing to practice for, and then I'm not going to wait for like a gig to like give me music to practice.
Mhm.
I mean,
Mhm.
it's part of why I wanted to get a DMA. Like, there's so much more to know. There's so much repertoire. It keeps me humble. You know, it's like constantly climbing a mountain.
Mhm.
Again, another way to like stay fresh. But Sonora, like, I realize there's so much supply of musicians, great musicians. Some that might be like too timid to even realize they're great musicians. Um, it's not everyone knows that they could be at the top. They just, I don't know, some people just hide away and kind of they go the orchestra route, which I think is great too, because that's a whole other competition. Um, but yeah, so the problem that I wanted to solve was we have all these great composers, all these great musicians, probably from age, what is it, like 24 to forever. But especially that age where you're like right out of school trying to build your schedule. How can I make this like compassionate collective that seeks to like bring performers into new spaces and then widen audiences? I mean, I didn't think it was such a far-fetched idea because like art visual artists are constantly having people view their art. Why don't we just combine venues? So like we can each pull from different audiences, and then you get this like expanded experience of the arts.
And the museum is such a natural fit for music because often it sounds good. It's already staged. They already have chairs at most of them, so you don't have to bring in chairs. Like I
Well,
hosted, yeah. I guess it depends. New York might be different, but when I was out in Colorado this summer, hosted a couple shows at like the Museum of Boulder. Like the person we partnered with, we were trying to find business relations just out in the city, and the person who we clung on to the most and who kind of became like an advisor was the like director at the Museum of Boulder, and put on some like great sold out concerts. And most of those people don't go to concerts; they go to the museum, and they're already used to viewing art. They're already donors to the concert or to the museum. They're already interested in it, and you have a nice, beautiful backdrop. It's not just a curtain and a wood floored stage. You know, there's
yeah,
art. You're surrounded by art. It's a great
it's like
fit.
a cool event. And you can tell people about it like, hey, you're hitting two birds with one stone. Come to this thing. I promise you'll like some component of it, whether it's visual or oral. Um, I mean, I do sometimes think music needs a visual component. Sometimes it just does. Like some people just hate going to concerts. We have to face that reality. I think I mean, this is like maybe from a jaded perspective. Not saying I'm jaded, but for maybe someone that's jaded, it's like, oh, another concert. Oh, what's going to be different about this concert? Oh, there's just like a few composers that are different. But in my case, Sonora is like we pair a composer to the art gallery, to the exhibition that the art gallery is putting on. And we try to talk about the music in a way that relates to the gallery and the music because it's not so far fetched. Like, we're going to put on a concert where the exhibition is focused on texture. Texture is something you can definitely, it's an avenue into talking about music. I mean, there's so many directions you can go with that. I'm sure as a composer, you resonate with that.
And the thing I really like, even just from the production side of things, putting together an experience. We can see now out in the real world examples of people paying top dollar for the experience. They're not
Mm.
necessarily sold on a concert. When you look at successful concerts that are getting people to show up, they're not advertising it even as a concert. It's an experience. Come experience something. And when you show up, there's just a bunch of candles everywhere, or it's in an art museum, or it's in a bar and it has drink pairings, and it just turns out people like uh they like being catered to. They like enjoying the whole thing. When even if the music is just the most standard Beethoven, Mozart's that they could have gone and seen in a
Mm.
concert hall, the fact that it's in a new location and it's not necessarily being sold as, hey, here's Beethoven and Mozart. It's being sold as, this is a great night out and you're going to enjoy this. It goes such of so it goes so much further. than you would traditionally expect. And people love it. And that's how you get different audiences. Airbnb doesn't, it's not called Airbnb events or Airbnb, whatever. Like, it's Airbnb experiences. Am I going to any of those? No. But that's $1 billion company who titled it experiences over anything else because we like that. I want to have a good experience. I might not care as much about just the music. So I think it's great what you're doing. And it's really smart because it's two birds, one stone. I love how you said it. You're going to find something you're going to like and that you can relate to. And I think when someone's describing, oh, I'm just going to like some classical concert, like that's not like a super compelling thing. Even to most classical musicians who have degrees in this stuff, I can't convince someone off the street to come to this. But I'm like, hey, we're gonna go do this. They play in the dark. It's really cool. They're gonna show up and they're gonna brag about that thing, and they're gonna have a wonderful time. It's really smart what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, it was a challenge during the pandemic because we started like right before we started March 2020. Yeah, there are a bunch of art galleries on my block, and I just walked into one and I was like, hey, I made a collective. You guys are an artist collective. Let's be two collectives together. And they were like, yes, this is exactly what I want. And their like furniture was cool and it was like all puffy. It actually was called Puff. The exhibition was called Puffy. Everyone sat on the floor. It was cool.
Aw.
It's also loosening it up a little bit.
Can you talk about that a little bit? Because I think this is something that I just have to fight classical musicians with like swords and bows and arrows with, like, when it comes to this. Our culture is so stuffy.
Yeah, I mean, maybe this means when you program, you don't program the whole work. Maybe you do like the two that you think might be the most ear catching. Maybe this means you throw in an encore that's popular. Maybe this means you program something that doesn't really get programmed and it's really unique for a chamber group. Or you put in a new work, you blend in a new work with a cutting edge composer, and it's well received by people that don't necessarily love classical music, but they love the concept of new art. I mean, new music's great. I just last week volunteered for a class called New Music Lab, where composers are trying to like get their violin microphone multiphonics on.
You are a brave soul.
I
I
know.
learned very soon after going to Juilliard, don't do composer stuff, especially because it's just like
What?
sometimes it's the hardest. Like, it hurt my feelings how hard some of the music was. I was like, do you hate me?
Oh, but your job is also to like inform them.
Yeah, I wasn't
It's like
confident
a
enough
give
to
and
tell them, dude, this
take.
is impossible.
It's like a give and take. I
Yeah.
mean, I sometimes learn something from a new work that I also learned at a pop music gig. And I'm like,
Oh
oh,
yeah.
I didn't know rhythm could be written like that.
hmm
Or I didn't know I could feel the groove in this way.
hmm
Or like, I remember also, so when I also graduated school, I was going all the way out to like Bay Ridge, Brooklyn for these like maqam sessions, which is like Middle Eastern music. And I was like, I was just trying to keep my life varied, really. Um, and now I'm like trying to learn some jazz numbers, going that
Ooh.
direction too. But don't
Yeah.
worry, I'm practicing Mozart 5 concerto with um actually this is I guess you could say this is also in a varied way with the Kramer bow. It's a transitional bow. So I'm even going
Whoa.
backwards.
Wait, what do you mean? I don't know what you mean by transitional bow.
Oh, you like before the tort bow that we use and like the Baroque bow, there's like that period of late Galant style classical era.
Really?
Yeah. The bow has very many iterations.
Is it more like curved or whatever? Like, is there's a
Um,
higher arch or?
yeah, it is a higher arch. I think the term is like camber. Your bows camber differently.
I've
The Baroque bows were like convex, and then
Yeah.
they made its way to concave. And I'm playing with a transitional bow that probably would have been around in Mozart's time. I mean,
What's different about it? What's different about it?
like you can do spiccato in the upper third of the bow. It is
No way.
amazing. And the way the give of the bow is different.
Oh.
The ribbon is thinner.
Uh,
Yeah. It's like a sweeter sound in general. You don't have as much space. There's no reason to force. It feels a little smaller, but it sings beautifully. But I
if
mean,
you can't force it, I'm out. Like, I'm a violist.
yeah.
I gotta get that sound.
It is a sweeter way of looking at it. And it just reminds me of Europe.
You've been
Yeah, I
multiple
love
times?
yeah. I actually this summer I went to Austria. And I experienced Vienna, and Vienna is, I think if you're a musician, no matter what genre you're from, you need to go to Vienna. It's literally the city of music.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
I mean,
posters of
that's.
violins everywhere. It like warms my heart.
I need to go. I feel like it's been calling me
Also,
forever.
the sushi is really cheap and really good.
Word?
What?
Yes, this is a fun fact.
Tell me why is that?
I
Is
think
there just like
it must come from Italy, the fish, and I think maybe they're not obsessed with sushi in Vienna.
just wait till I come there
Yeah,
and buy a
wait
whole
till
supply?
we, all us Americans, just land
Yeah,
there.
just oh
Just a
god,
bunch of American musicians playing concerts and then going and getting sushi after. We
bunch of
gonna revamp the market.
Yeah,
avocados
revamp
start
the
showing up.
market.
Avocado.
God, I'm curious, Julia. So you're playing all of these different types of music, new music, Middle Eastern music. Now we're learning jazz,
Yeah.
historical Mozart performance, like working with the Silk Road and doing all of these other things. The late the late night show with Stephen Colbert. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
the Silk Road inspired a lot, I have to say. I met the Global Musicians Workshop with Mike Block at Tanglewood summer 2016, and it was like the most natural, easiest thing dealt to me that summer, because otherwise it was like, I don't know, sitting principal on some symphony or like learning some Beethoven quartet quickly or like new music week. The improvisation of it, like playing music just by feel and ear, that was like a new exercise for me, and I loved it. And I want to continue in that direction because that's basically the core of music. Do it by feel, ear, and emotion. And then, well, Stephen Colbert gig. So I played on this background during the pandemic of a Melania Trump video about her. It was about, so there was like a skit. How do I call this? It's a music video.
Okay.
Laura Benanti playing the role of Melania, and she's singing like about how she misses New York and she's excited to leave the White House. So I got that gig because John Baptiste recommended me for that. And I had played with John before, and worked together with John, and that's how I play and find myself in places like the Stephen Colbert show. I mean, I find everything equally challenging. And I find like there's something new to practice with each gig. Or if I don't find this new to practice thing with the gig, I'm not really fulfilled. So it's like really
Yeah.
Yes,
it's like a
exactly.
perspective and outlook thing. It's like all about your attitude. Like you have to find the new thing. This is back to my rebirth energy thing. You have to constantly look for a new facet, or you're going to just become jaded. You have to stay consistent in staying fresh.
I think that's one of the most powerful things you've shared with us. Is it's because, like, you know, first of all, learning what we do is hard. It takes forever. But once you kind of get a handle on it, like, then it's often the case, and you see it in orchestras. You see, like, people, you see orchestra musicians, how many of them are filled with joy when you go and watch one of their concerts?
Well, I hope they are, otherwise it's a bad orchestra.
Yeah.
Look, but see, that's the thing. In the orchestras that there is a lot of joy is because there is, like, a new conductor, or there's a new piece, or they
Or they're
find
paid a
ways,
lot.
like you said, or they're paid a lot, But I loved what you said about, learning new reasons to practice. I wanted to, before we got too far away from it, I wanted to hear, like, what you're like, how are you practicing jazz? Because, like, I'm currently, like, just, like, listening to 70s Japanese music and
Oh,
just, like,
cool.
learning the solos. Like,
So I have a jazz cat friend.
yeah.
That's what you call jazz
Yeah,
people.
yeah.
Call them cats.
Meow.
I know. I know. When I first learned that, I was like, wow, what a different culture.
Yeah.
Um, Basically, we go through a standard. He marks out the chords. He writes the melody out, or together we sing the melody, and we try to and fiddle around. I fiddle around trying to extract that melody, and then, I mean, I thank God that I know some theory, because otherwise, how do I improvise? So I try to do generally what's in the confines of acceptable music theory, in terms of, like, okay, this is a half diminished chord. Maybe this note should be in that measure that I am improvising on. Um, I am in the baby stages, just letting you know.
I
I
am.
don't know
No,
if this
I am
is,
too.
but I mean, then it's like trying out different rhythms and different double stops to see, like, what sounds good. Like, what sounds good to you? Which could be a little bit judgmental and harsh from someone who's trying to be a perfectionist, which is the opposite of what jazz is about. So
Mhm.
I'm having fun with that. That's like the new thing that keeps me playing the instrument, like taking it out of the case. But I do love my classical stuff. There's a feeling of fulfillment when I can play the intro of Mozart 5 concerto with good bow distribution. I mean, it is probably because it's so ingrained in me. It's why I went to Juilliard. It's like why we're trained to do what we do.
Mhm.
And then I find, like, a fascination with then teaching it to someone, or maybe applying it to, like, pop music, or some other gig where I never thought I would have to think about XYZ technique, but it's how I get through the gig and keep myself entertained. And I'm learning.
I think about that too, like the checklist of like what it goes into, like selecting like what you're gonna work on, or like, oh, should I take this good? Should I take this project? It's like,
Yeah.
at least for me, like, there's like a kind of a checklist, but like number one is like, will I learn something from this? Number two, what's the time commitment? And then number three, like, what's the money? And like, it needs to check, heavily check some of those, or check all of those.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I know. I recently took on this dancer found me. Um this dancer who runs a dance collective. Everybody's into their collectives now. She found me to play at her show, and the dancer wanted to play Carmen. And I feel like I easily could have just printed out an orchestra edition, but then I was like, you know what? At this age, I'm going to do what 7-year-old prodigies do and play the fantasy version of it. So
Let's go.
I learned Carmen Fantasy in like 2 weeks, and I was
Jeez.
like,
Whoa.
okay, I think my brain is working. I think I think my fingers are moving to what my brain wants, and my ears directing me. I mean, it wasn't the highest paying gig, but there was like a real sense of fulfillment. I mean, it's just about, you know, constantly finding mountains for yourself to climb.
There's
That's
a great
huge.
phrase I heard recently, like about mountains and like people at peak performance. I don't know the exact quote. I'll have to learn it. The mountain only supports life on the sides. Like there's nothing really up top. It's up snow. Where are the trees on the mountain? Like there's this
Mm.
line. You're always working and progressing because when you're at the top of the mountain, there's not much else there. You're just there. There's nowhere else you can really go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you have
Mm-hmm.
to constantly keep spinning yourself somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sure, you might achieve XYZ thing, but I think a lot of people who do achieve XYZ thing, like let's just take even Michael Phelps as an example. They get depressed. It's like they are burning themselves out. Maybe they enjoy the burnout part, they enjoy the achievement part, but then there's like the hangover later. And then
Mm-hmm.
you've got to find ways to redirect your energy.
That's why like what we do is so valuable, Julia. It's creation. We
Yes.
create things. Art is about creation. And I think um for me personally, like creating things makes me happy. Creating this podcast makes me happy. Making YouTube videos and
Yeah.
Instagram videos. That shit makes me happy. And I would also say that like one thing that's like super that I try to tell people, but they always fight me on it is like perfection is the enemy of good enough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'm a perfectionist. I
I
mean
am too.
whether we like it or not, if it was
Mhm.
naturally induced or environmentally induced, I I think this like in a city life, perfectionism is like unavoidable. It's like we're constantly thinking of like more efficient routes to do things.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
you can apply that to music maybe for a technical standard and maybe to a musical aesthetic you're trying to evoke, but it feels so machine like. Like I think we need to create a culture where we accept more imperfections. Like we accept like people should post more out of tune videos. Like it's fine. You can
Have you been
we
to my
can get
page
the sense
lately?
You atting me? Are you atting me right now?
like we can get the sense of your musicianship with, two or three notes, not perfect. I think we're in this like cutthroat culture only classical
Mhm.
musicians have, and then maybe people who are like academically really rigorous have, or just everyone. But we have to learn how to like accept imperfections and reality. And it's amazing when I see like the younger generation play, or when you watch the Olympics and you watch the like younger athlete. It's
Mhm.
like they're scarily so good, and it keeps getting better and better. Like I'm sure the standard of Juilliard pre-college just keeps getting better and better.
Those kids are not human. They're not human. I mean, they are, but like, yeah, you're right. It's like they have this tutelage from the masters from the time they put a violin in their hands. You know.
Yeah. I mean,
Mhm.
teachers keep getting better and better, I hope. I strive to be a better and better teacher each year. Mean, I don't try to teach the same way each lesson. Otherwise, I will hate teaching, and a lot of my resources come from there.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
though I am trying for my rebirth to perform more.
I miss playing with you. The last time we played together was like June 2018.
Oh,
It
for
was right before
WQXR, right?
the WQXR show, and I literally after our performance, I had to go get on a plane to go to Japan,
And then we
hang out
saw
with
you. I saw you in
yeah,
Japan
yeah, that's right. With Jocelyn
with
and Liz
Jocelyn.
Skinner, we went
Yeah.
and got ramen
Yes.
in Tokyo.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dang, girl, that was like that made my whole trip. I was like, I actually there are friends here in Japan right now
In
while I'm
Japan.
chilling. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I was doing a quartet festival. It was called Music Masters Course Japan, and it's run by Alan Gilbert's family and friends. And I would say that really whipped me into shape. I mean, it was like 8 hours a day of quartet and like maybe two
Whoa.
coaches in the room at the same time, giving you their perspectives on what they think the music is asking for. Um, yeah, I have to say, I was doing this for a while where I will spend some of my earnings to reinvest in lessons with people.
That's smart.
That's
Um,
a really good idea. And that's something that I don't know about you, but there's this weird thing. You get that music degree and you're like, oh, I've spent my whole life taking lessons and learning from stuff. And oh, good, I'm done now. I've
Yeah.
done it. Like we're all done. I got the degree. I'm a master of music. And then it all kind of ends. But you see those people who are still taking it to the next level, who are those lifelong learners. As we know, as the research shows, they still have mentors. The best golfers have swing coaches. LeBron has
yeah.
a shooting coach. Like they know that, but there's this weird thing in music to where we just stop. Maybe it's financial, maybe it's time, maybe we're ready to go. But it is kind of amazing to see how we clearly accept that and expect that in sports and other peak performance things. Michael Phelps has a coach. He's the most decorated athlete in human history, and the dude has a coach. Like, come on, It's so. What is your strategy? Are you going to try to find like? Are you going to go to some specific people or find a mentor of sorts, the soul person? How are you going
No,
to go about this in
it
your
could
rebirth?
even be your friend that you trust that has been having a sort of musical vision that you feel you resonate with, like just playing for people. And I think playing for people is a good idea. Like you want to go into some ensemble, maybe you find that a person in the group, show them you're playing. Maybe these days it's by video. You can like easily judge. Cuz everyone, I mean, hopefully everyone has videos of themselves playing. Or now we're back into in person. I think I think constantly playing for people keeps you on a sort of edge that's healthy. And it keeps you in shape. I mean, it's back to like when I was graduating from school and I still gig and I just wonder if like people practice and they like do they really practice? Do they practice like are they just bringing their instrument out for a few scales a day, which is totally fine and healthy? Or is there like a piece they've decided to work on? Or is there a part in their ensemble that just gets them every time and they need to score study? That's, mental practice is a real thing. Or are they working on their posture? Because, as we get older, our bodies can't play as well as they used to. So I went through a phase of reinventing my posture. I went to like Alexander technique every week and
As I'm slouching over my mic like a gremlin.
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. I mean,
yeah.
actually, there was a period of time I wasn't taking lessons and I was just taking Alexander technique privately, and that elucidated a lot for me. I was like, oh, so this is how I should feel. What have I been doing, twisting my body around? The sound is not as good. Um, I look worse. I'm harming myself. Like that's another way to just keep your life varied. I don't know if I'm gonna run out of ways one day. I hope not. But I do
No.
think everything that like staying consistent starts with you, like, and your instrument and your relationship to your instrument. Or like for a composer, it's like, are you working on anything? Are you spending the time to actually actively write something? But that's a whole other story. Of course,
It's a
it's
very similar story. It is very similar in that. I mean, I just really resonated with what you said. I love that you mentioning like consistency of trying something new, to be consistently learning and to prioritize doing new things. And for me, with that checklist, if I get a call and they want the same thing over again, I say no, I'm not interested. Which is very normal in film music. So and so
oh
makes a horror
cool.
film. So and so makes a horror film, and they're like, "Hey, we want this," and I see you've done this before. So I'm like, not really
Then
interested.
you can
Um,
delegate.
yeah, and then I can hand it off, and it makes someone else's life easier. But you see, definitely in, I mean, in film music too, because there's a lot of money involved. There's a lot of like, typical like corporatism landscapes to where they don't want to take a risk with the person or really the music. When someone's like, go out and give me the superhero movie, they're not there to explore. They might say, "Oh, we wanted something fresh." That is a lie. They did not. They're like, "I want the person who's done the last 15 most successful superhero movies and get
Mm.
them in my office right now, and let them do something fresh, because they need that guarantee. Money's on the line. Like they want to know someone can deliver. They don't want the score to not be there. So I kind of understand that risk, but we have this weird risk aversion, particularly
Mm.
in like the States and in entertainment and in art. Who do we award all the awards? The winners who won other things. Like it's
Yeah.
very rare. Every emerging composer award is never a surprise. This is their year. They are cleaning up shop this year, and
Yeah.
because they won this, because no ensemble, no groups want to take that risk and go out and pick a stinker. So what we do is we start
Oh,
awarding the winners,
I don't
which is such
I
a big
don't love
thing.
that.
Oh yeah, at
Yeah, it's
all. Yeah,
terrible.
it's comical.
So
And
much
then everyone,
diversity.
yeah, it's a missed
We have
opportunity.
huge supply of talent constantly. And I hate to see like people dwindle off. Like sometimes you go on Facebook and it's like, "Hi, I'm going to XYZ school now," or "I'm doing blah 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 boot camp now." And you're like, "Damn, you gave up already?"
Hmm.
Like,
But at least for those boot camp, the thing that sucks is with this particularly like going like programming boot camps and stuff like that, is I hate that for some of them it's like the situation
yeah,
forced them to, and
sometimes
they're
you
looking,
really have
yeah,
to. Or sometimes
yeah.
they really want to. Someone has a crisis about what they're doing and they are jaded and they can't find fulfillment in what they're doing and they're not creating, and or maybe they are creating and are just hitting a wall over and over again, or maybe they're not happy teaching. Like you have to do an assortment of things and be okay with like some of the assortment not being exciting, but
Hmm.
then you have to find your own way of finding the exciting fresh thing.
And for a lot of these people going in to these, computer programming and things like that, like a good portion of them, that might be the best thing they've ever done, and the creative fulfillment that's going on. Before we saw a recent wave, partially
Mm-hmm.
triggered by the pandemic or the environment. One of the more memorable conversations I had with our old Julia colleague Louis Cruz was
Oh,
when
shout
he
out,
was going
bro.
to leave. He's 1 year through the Juilliard DMA, and he's one of the most academically bright people I've ever met in my
Mm-hmm.
life. Like this is the G word. He might actually be that. I've never seen anyone retain information like that. So not in a hyperbolic sense, but I remember talking to him, getting a coffee, and I was poking him about some new commission that it turns out he didn't even get. His big news he wanted to tell me and wanted to catch up on was that he's leaving Juilliard DMA 1 year through. One
Wow.
more year was preventing him from his dream of being a software developer. He loved it. It was
Great.
he was moonlighting as a software developer. He would go to work and like put in the hours doing music. But the key point for him was that I could tell that was music wasn't his creative. That wasn't the fulfillment. Of course,
Mm.
he's gonna have. He has like a house now outside of San Francisco. Things are going well financially. That part worked out of the equation.
He doing all right.
But he's doing all right. But also, you could tell by his decision, he had mentioned the weight off of his shoulders. He's like, I've been doing music all my life. I've been putting so much energy, and like all the pressures and stigmas come with it. He felt creatively fulfilled. Yeah,
Mm.
moonlighting as a software developer. Once midnight hit, he was up late programming away. And algorithms, his mind for music and composition and creating structures and all these things, directly went into this new field. And so I've seen some people like that where I'm like, heck yes, like I want artists out in the world working in other fields. I think that's great. And for them, for some of them, that is their like consistently learn something new, because you're never done there either. There's always a new technology knocking on the door.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think actually taking breaks is so healthy. I mean, I've had I've had like months where I didn't practice and then would start up again. I mean, you have to be
Shout
careful.
out.
You don't want to injure yourself, but
Mm-hmm.
there's always a down period, and we don't talk about it enough. And it goes
Mm-hmm.
in line with mental health and taking care of yourself. Like there's like the working towards something, burning yourself out, and then you have a down period of not much going on, and then you all of a sudden feel on top of the world because you got all these gigs hit at you. It's
Mm-hmm.
really an inconsistent life, and you have to have really tough skin to deal with it. So you need to find something to keep you consistent. Maybe it's like it's your routine, like exercising or something academic related. It could be for me it's the academic related. I think that keeps me honed in. Like volunteering for a new music class actually was the most fulfilling thing I did last week. Like just being able to help composers, that that was really fulfilling, and that keeps my energy going to the next week, where now I'm talking to you guys, and then I have to go organize how to I have to go produce a organize me and Katie have to organize ourselves, and we have to go produce a concert. And then I'm also trying to stay on top of learning the music for the concert. I'm trying to stay on top of learning Mozart Fifth Concerto because orchestra auditions are back up and running. And why not take an audition? It's like entering a competition.
Of course, it's all about testing yourself, right? And I think that's an incredible theme that's been woven through the tapestry and the quilt of this conversation. I think what's really unique. So there's this one Kevin Kelly quote that keeps coming back, and we've kind of like danced around it. It's kind of like having deadlines is really important, right? So you have this
Yes.
deadline for producing this concert, you have a deadline for this audition. A deadline weeds out the extraneous and the ordinary. It prevents you from trying to make it perfect. So you have to make it different. Different is
Mm.
better. And in marketing, this is something that I always like in all the marketing books I've read. This is the same little nugget is like different is better. What's really different about Sonora Collective is how you reach out to businesses for a complimentary concert proposal. Like you'll provide them
Hmm.
with a mood
Yes.
board and musical works. Can you talk about like how you came up with that? Because I think that sort of feature that you guys have is so sticky. I think it's really monetarily, it has a lot of monetary potential, especially for businesses that, let's be frank, a lot of their music sucks. Like a lot of business jingles suck, and they could do with like a rebrand and a revamp. So can you talk about like some of those services and like how you
Yeah.
came up with that?
Yeah, I would say it's like a boutique service for sure.
Okay.
Um,
For now.
ha.
I
Uh,
see it growing. I can see it
Yeah,
being
I
really
mean,
big.
we go into we're inspired by this space, or we're inspired by like what art is hanging on the wall. Something
Mhm.
bright. Okay, we think to ourselves, what is written for XYZ instruments that is short and sweet, or what composer has that kind of palette? What is something new that they definitely will never find from Google? And we have our composer colleagues um, showing us what is on their SoundCloud. So that's how it started. We started with
Mhm.
SoundCloud, and then we were like, okay, what era does this place remind us of? Or what composers does this remind us of? Or what season is it? What music even goes with the season that we're trying to have a concert during? You know, and then we also keep stock of like what's trending, like what composers are being played at the Met, what composers are being played across orchestras. Um, so we want to keep that 21st century thing alive. But we also like to draw on old classical works. Like they're as good as new.
One of the things we didn't get to talk about earlier, but obviously a big selling point of an art gallery is the curation. And I
Yes.
love, now I use that word all the time for what I'm trying to describe when I'm talking to a business or some production company, a non-music production company, about putting on a show. And I'm like, hey, yes, we're going to choose the music, but curating that experience, because that it's such a big art to itself. You kind of see that in programming, but wow,
Programming.
I paired like a piece or two together isn't quite as special as, okay, I paired this piece to the art on the wall behind me. I paired this piece to the lighting of this building. And like
Or the
curation is such a beautiful thing because I mean, like the art, it can be in the same frame, but how you light it from different angles, where it goes in the space is of course an art unto itself. So I love this art and this like curating
yeah.
of experiences that you've got going on. It makes it more special.
Sometimes it's like the artist's message too. If they have a message about
Mm.
healing and easing back into life, we think of what music is evocative of that. It's like certain catchphrases, that the details that we can use to then make something broader.
I like the adaption too, because I gave the like poo poo downside of like sometimes the necessary conformity in a film because you need to deliver for that film. But the reason I really like doing film is that forced variety. So the reason I say no to similar projects is because I want to do the new project. Now it's tough when they're like, "Hey, can you send me, some examples of like what this sounds like?" And I'm like,
Mhm.
no, the reason I'm doing this is because I haven't done this and you're going to get something like special and unique. That's tough. But then again, like when it's working with the director, very
Mhm.
much like working with the museum, I'm walking into their film, their vision, their museum, and they've got a
Yeah.
lot of stuff in there. There's a lot of lights. They're all very expensive lights. There's a lot of images. There's a lot of storyboards. And then it's like, okay, how can I curate this? Like, how can I put in sounds that are going to make their museum the way they envision it and like take it to the next level?
Well, then it's the level of you then reach something called collaboration. So we like to say we like
Mm.
collaborate with art museums, or we collaborate with artists.
Mm,
I
my
mean,
favorite word.
true collaboration is difficult. I mean, like even like me collaborating with a dancer, do her moves make sense during my cadence? You know, like, or are they evocative enough?
Mhm.
That's true collaboration is hard to have because like sometimes it's 70% act one thing and 30% one thing. It's really hard to get a 50-50 matchup. But when that happens, it's great. 60-40 even. I'll
It's
take
the
it.
best.
Yeah.
Final offer.
And producer Daniel was like, that's why Yo-Yo is such a goat. You
It's
know,
true.
Because he knows how
one
to
of one of the things that I've learned, just like looking at history, it's like our civilization, like our art, everything that we are as a human species is due to collaboration. Like if you had to make your own clothes, farm your own food, build your own house, like crank your own electricity generator, like we wouldn't get anything done. Like let's be real, the productivity would be so low. I think the fact that we're able to do what we do is because of collaboration. It's not like art collaboration, but what I mean to say is like the nature of collaboration, to your point, is it's not even additive, it's multiplicative, it's exponential. And so when you have those rare moments when you can take an idea, meld it with something else, the creation that comes from those two different realms is greater than the sum of its parts. And so that's why
Yeah.
I'm so fascinated by like what you're talking about, like pairing art. The other thing that I wanted to ask you is like art tends to bring in like a high net worth individuals, right?
Depends.
Um, it depends. Can you what do you mean by that?
Are you saying like who walks through the door and purchases the
People
art?
who are buying fine art, right? They tend to be high net worth individuals, or am I ignorant?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right about that.
Do you think that's a future possible pipeline for art patronage in the future by just like music patronage. Maybe that's a new way we can build our fan base for people that could support our institutions.
Yeah, I definitely think that's a new avenue you can take, or newer. It's not totally unheard of, I think. Generally, people who love the arts just they love everything about the arts. They're like
Mm-hmm.
fanatics.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, the reason why I was kind of like leading is like, as you're taking these orchestra auditions, right? And you're making
Yeah, I'm gonna take
connections.
one. I'm gonna take one.
You can you tell us where, or are you gonna keep that on the
It's
can we
where
get the
it's where you're
exclusive?
from. It's where you're
It's where
from.
I'm from. Let's go. Okay.
Ooh.
Hey, so if you're coming out here, let's get coffee.
No, no, no. You're from Georgia. Aren't
From
you from Georgia?
the
Oh,
origin story.
it's one of my
Even
favorite.
okay, even Daniel
My
picked up
origin.
on
No, okay. No, I did not. I think I'm from LA at this point for
that. Oh,
some
you
reason.
do? You I mean,
Yeah.
there's such a craft to playing so many genres and types of music. I can't wait, actually. It's going to be refreshing to take an orchestra audition.
Hell yeah.
When was the last time?
Oh, man. Probably fresh out of school when I graduated master's, like 2016, 17.
It's gonna be so neat
Mm-hmm.
to see the progression and just like the mental space and part of this rebirth. Like you've played so many different types of music and have so much experience to bring to that whole process. Yeah,
Music
I'm
is
really
music.
curious.
Music is music. I and my colleagues have cultivated skills to play like Paganini. Where are we going to play that? Maybe at a Sonora Collective concert. Maybe we're going to record it and try for something. Excerpts, why not? That's just another facet of something I can do. Um, I mean, though it might sound like I keep myself busy, I also want to say that it's really important to take breaks. It's okay
I don't
to
know
do
when you
nothing.
do
Yeah.
it.
No, I sometimes you need to just go on social media and like scroll through for an hour
Mhm.
or two. Maybe you gotta find inspiration there.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's such a good point, is that the idea of taking breaks, and it's something that, I mean, all of us on this call are like having to actively figure out what that's like. But again, looking at other high performing individuals, every athlete, every sport has an off season. They could be playing through that, but they'd get injured, they get burnout mentally and physically. And also, all those off seasons. Like, here's the thing: I didn't think about though. It's like, okay, you're on the season, then they're off. Okay, show up next August for training camp. We'll get you back to shape. Like, no, all those professional athletes, the off season has a lot of structure. It's just different. You're performing at a different level, and hearing from, there was some interview, I think it was on like Ryan Holiday's podcast, and he's interviewing like an Olympian mountain biker, and she was just fascinating, young, won some world championships, but didn't perform well at the Olympics. And it was talking through a mental process of like what happens when like you've done everything right and you don't get it. And that's where they were talking about the mountaintop and the process. And even for these athletes, these high performing athletes, we're always like, keep going. So she would go out, their trainer said, her coach was like, 2 hours. You're going to go out and, put in 2 hours. And she goes for 3. And she's like, yeah, like I killed it. I'm on top. I'm the best. And she goes back and she talks to her other professionals who've been in the business or trainer. And they're like, no, you don't. It was 2 hours for a reason. You have to have that rest. Your job is to not peak now. It's to peak during the Olympics. Peaking now does nothing. You can't keep going. And she had also mentioned the hardest part for her is the off season. because it doesn't feel like you're working towards something. But your process is thrown off. You spend all this day cycling. You need to love that process to sit on that bike all the time. But the importance of the off season to work on something else and to have that off season somewhat structured. Maybe the structure is, hey, it's okay. I'm going to scroll social media from 7 to 8 p.m. I'm going to scroll on, and I'm allowing myself, I am forgiving myself for what might seem like you could put some other, get back in the shed and put in some more work or learn something new. I'm going to allow myself to tune down, to have that off season. It's fascinating.
Yeah. I mean, if you're in a period of maybe low work, that's actually the best time to do it. Because then, I mean, you're sitting there thinking, what am I going to do with my time? What am I going to do with my time? But why don't you just look at it as like a time of constructive rest? And then, delve into your own thing that you want to be fascinated by. And then before you know it, it's like, go, go, go.
Yeah. That's what my last couple of weeks has been. Like, I'm finally past it personally. And now I'm like, oh, wait, 2 weeks have gone by. I don't know who I am. And now I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm Drew. And I'm like a human with needs, and I need to exercise because I'm getting a little bit of a belly.
I need to exercise, bro.
Wait, did you just say you came from a go, go, go time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did it happen for you too?
Yeah, I had a go, go, go time. And then I was like, wait, where is everything?
Yeah.
Where,
Yeah.
like, wait, what am I doing? Am I cleaning my apartment? Yes, I'm cleaning my apartment.
I haven't done laundry in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I know. It's hard to stay consistent in the little things, but you gotta do it.
They all matter. I wanted to, before we wrap it up here, Julia, I'm curious because like during the pandemic, during like this period that was like an off time for many musicians, and I'm no exception, I started like getting back into reading books, like hardcore. Have you picked up any books recently that have kind of like changed your perspective, have been really
Um,
additive to your life?
yeah, I have right here The Body Keeps the Score.
Yeah, can you talk about it
Yeah.
a little bit?
Well, the subtext is brain, mind, and body in the healing of trauma. It's basically
Mm.
studying patients and how patients who have PTSD and how they approach the world and what they view as threats. I'm only like 2 chapters in, so I'm reading that. I also bought a book called Crying in H Mart because I think um, a lot of
I
the
love that title.
It's a great title.
Asian American population in 2021 felt the hate crimes on a deep level. And
Mm-hmm.
like the question of Asian American identity has been brought to light more and more in these recent times, which is cool. I never thought I would see the day. I'm half Asian myself, so I have to read like Leopold Mozart's violin treatise. Like I just went to the library. See,
Mm-hmm.
this is another variation of my week that was a highlight. Going to the library, pulling books about 18th and 19th century articulations, because I have a dissertation meeting tomorrow. Uh,
Mm.
You're a doctoral student. Dang, you are busy. Holy crap. I thought I was
no,
like
I'm dragging my feet on the dissertation. It's been I mean, it was go, go, go when I had classes and exams, but now it's like I'm in
Mhm,
the driver's seat more and I can decide what to do with my time. I can decide
mhm.
what students to cut, um, what gigs to take. I did regret saying no to a electric violin gig because I thought, oh, that might be fun. Play some electric
Yeah,
violin.
damn.
But it was just, time commitment was too large, pay was too little, weird
Mhm.
time.
I think that's something a lot of us who are fortunate enough to be in this position, but We're all a couple years out from Juilliard. We've been, grinding away, working away, learning away, adapting, surviving, and then getting to this point where we have choice and realization. Wait, I don't have to do that gig anymore. Or even if something's high dollar, I don't have to do that gig. I can choose. I don't have to take on this particular set of students just to get by.
Sometimes you do, though. Sometimes you do. Depends what
Yeah.
you want to buy. Depends how you want to live.
Yeah. But the choice to do so, and I think the realization that you don't have to do everything, that you're always going to have to learn, and then just simply, even for me, like I think it's comforting to be kind to yourself and like allow yourself to say no. Wait, just because all the other composers were, care about this thing or getting this type of gig, I don't actually like it. Like, why would I hold myself to that? I don't even enjoy this particular type of thing, or um, even like the flexibility to go out and do what you really love. We talked to a really funny guest, Tom McGovern, great singer songwriter, gigging musician. Every night, piano
Mm.
bar, every night, cruise ship. He's played hundreds of gigs, went saw him perform live, absolute killer stage presence, wonderful person. And he was talking about the fulfillment he gets from making, in his own words, dumb little videos. He's on TikTok. He's got a great following. He loves doing sketch things. But for him, he's like, wait, I want to, when he's given more time and more flexibility from either higher paying gigs or perspective or whatever, that's where he wants to put in his time, is his videos, because that's what brings him joy. And it's also a long-term investment. So that's just something I'm finding more and more that's kind of inspiring, is when given the opportunity, simply the choice, not having to take on everything, allowing ourselves to schedule taking breaks, and then this newfound rebirth and perspective. Are there any particular tips in kind of planning or executing this rebirth you're going for? How should they go about it? Or is there any words of wisdom you can share?
Well, I think you should one day a week do something that you didn't do the last week.
I love that.
And it could be something small like cooking a new meal or like running a new direction if you go running, or calling a friend that you haven't called in a while. But I'm a pretty goal oriented person, and sometimes it's just like all I need to do is make a to-do list that has something a little bit different on it, and that's how I stay fresh, and that's how I feel like reborn a little bit. No task is like too daunting. I mean, if it is, take a break.
Like what you said about like just the to-do list, putting something on there that is different and keeps you fresh. I think that's like the perfect bow of our entire conversation, because that's how you began our conversation, talking about being reborn and keeping your life fresh and having new perspectives, new goals. And I think that is the most important actionable item, is like of obtaining that freshness in your life. Put something new on that to-do list every single day. Something that's going to push the buck forward in one direction or another that you care about.
I mean, it could be going to the supermarket and getting a wild card item you never got before.
Eggplant. Let's get it.
Cut it
I think
thin.
we all need variation. We can't do the theme too often. Themes and variation of the theme.
Producer Daniel in the chat recommended the Carolina Reaper. Be very careful, like how much variation you add. Use a small portion of variation in your be careful
That's a
with the
pepper,
peppers,
right?
folks. Yeah, it's like one of the hottest peppers in the world. So
Oh,
yeah, be careful. Be
yes.
careful with.
Actually, yes. Be
Sir,
careful.
yeah, read the label on your variations. So
Yeah. I mean, everything's on a spectrum. Something.
Julia,
Yes.
thanks again for coming through.
Oh,
This has been
thanks for
awesome.
having me. It's an honor.
Seriously, like you've been on our list for a long time, and we're glad we were
Why
able to
is
make
that?
it.
I'm
It's because
curious. Is it you
we
see
love
my
you.
oh
No, and you're Juilliard fam, and we've known each other. You and I have known each other for like 11 years. You know that,
yeah
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Odin.
So of course we have a big list, but like we've had you on it from the beginning.
We like people out there doing interesting things with interesting perspectives. And I'm glad we were able to hear some of yours today. So thanks again.
Thank you guys.